The night air was warm, thick with the scent of late summer rain. Asphalt steamed beneath the tires of Ethan's motorcycle as he sped down the winding back roads of his hometown. 24 years old, he felt unstoppable, free. One hand on the throttle, the other gripping a life he thought he understood. That was before the curve, before the headlights, before everything went black. When Ethan woke up, it wasn't gradual. It was violent. A jagged bolt of pain snapped through his chest, and his eyes burst open. Blinding white lights, the sterile chill of a hospital room, a hiss of machines, a sharp taste of copper on his tongue. He couldn't move, not really, not with tubes snaking into his arms and ribs fractured like cracked porcelain. He tried to speak. Nothing. He couldn't even blink properly. Panic rose in his throat, but the machines kept their rhythm. Beep, beep, beep. Then the voices. First he thought he was dreaming. He's still alive? It was his mother. Cold. Blunt. Nothing like the woman who once kissed scraped knees and packed lunchboxes. The insurance payout doesn't happen if he lives. Came the sharper tone of his brother, Shane. And he's gonna need a ton of surgeries, long-term care. It's gonna bankrupt Mom. We can't keep him like this. Don't say that here. A whisper. Aunt Carol. He might hear you. I'm not an idiot. He's unconscious. We'll talk to the doctor again tomorrow. Convince him it's time to let go. Let go. They thought he was gone. They wanted him gone. But Ethan was very much awake. He lay frozen, his heart pounding under cracked ribs as his own family plotted his death inches from his bedside. He tried to move a finger, toe, anything to prove he was still inside this broken shell. But nothing answered. They kept visiting. Each day they grew colder, crueler. They weren't grieving. They were planning. Every word was calculated, every tear forced. On the third day, the nurse wheeled in a doctor Ethan hadn't seen before. Dr. Nia Morgan. Young, sharp eyes. She glanced at the chart, then at him, and for the briefest moment, Ethan saw it, hesitation. She leaned in, whispered softly beneath the hum of machines. If you can hear me, move your pinky. Agony tore through his hand. But slowly, trembling, he twitched. Once, Dr. Morgan didn't gasp. She didn't call for help. Instead, she straightened, gave a slight nod, and walked out. That night, everything changed. She returned alone, late after visiting hours. She closed the blinds. She pulled up a chair. I don't know what they've told you, she began quietly. But your family, they're trying to sign off on a DNR. Do not resuscitate. They've been pushing it hard. The thing is, your chart doesn't match what they're saying. You can recover. Not fully, not quickly, but you can come back. Ethan's breath hitched. I'm going to help you, but you need to trust me. That was how it started, an underground alliance. A doctor with a conscience. A patient fighting for his life in secret. What followed would stretch the limits of morality, medicine, and federal law. Because Dr. Morgan didn't just call a lawyer. She called the FBI. And when Ethan learned what they uncovered, what his family had already forged, filed, and signed behind his back, he made a decision. He would die. Or at least let the world think he did. The hospital room that had once felt like a prison slowly became a war room. Dr. Nia Morgan came nightly after her shifts ended, slipping in through a side entrance with a burner phone, a small recorder, and a folder marked E. Winters Private. Ethan, she whispered one night as she gently adjusted the light so it wouldn't blind him. They've already tried to get a court order to end life support. The only reason they haven't succeeded is because you're technically still breathing on your own. Barely. He listened, helpless and burning with rage. They want the plug pulled, she continued, eyes flicking toward the hallway. They've even got a lawyer, your uncle, by the way, arguing that you wouldn't want to live this way. It's a mess. But the FBI is interested. Ethan blinked twice. That was their signal for yes. She nodded and pulled a slim device from her coat. A tiny black recording bug. I recorded their conversation with the attending physician. The way your brother and Mom pressured him to change your file. The lies they told. Her voice tightened. They crossed a line. But the recordings weren't enough. The FBI wanted more. Proof of long-term intent. Patterns of behavior. And they wanted Ethan's cooperation. Which meant they had to do the unthinkable. They had to fake his death. It started with coded emails, encrypted calls, and secret agents posing as hospital administrators. One by one, files began to disappear from hospital systems, digitally wiped and replaced with false records showing Ethan's condition worsening. On paper, he was now dying. In reality, he was slowly recovering. Dr. Morgan began physical therapy in secret. At night, when cameras were off or redirected. First, it was a finger, then a hand, then a blink. It was brutal, agonizing. But Ethan was clawing his way back. And then came the day. July 14th. 3:17 a.m. The nurses on duty received a code blue, cardiac arrest in room 306. It was a staged performance. A cocktail of drugs slowed Ethan's heart rate to a crawl, fooling monitors into registering flatlines. Agents took over, performing a mock resuscitation, complete with shouted orders, adrenaline, defibrillator paddles that didn't deliver actual shocks. At 3:22 a.m., time of death was called. Ethan Winters was officially declared dead. By sunrise, the news reached his family. Shane was overheard saying, "Well, at least that's done." Their mother didn't cry. She asked about the life insurance. A closed casket funeral was held 2 days later, attended by family, friends, and the very lawyer who had argued to end Ethan's life. They cried crocodile tears over an empty box, while the man they betrayed watched from an unmarked surveillance van nearby. That night, he was taken to a federal safe house, given a new name, Eli Walker, and a new story. Parents dead. No siblings. A fabricated childhood. The FBI offered him a new life in the witness protection program, and he accepted with one condition. "I want to see them fall. All of them." Took 3 more months. 3 months of wiretaps, hidden cameras, and carefully orchestrated meetings. Ethan's family didn't disappoint. They were greedy and careless. With the insurance money cleared, they made plans to invest it, lie about his will, and manipulate public sympathy for attention and profit. When federal agents arrested them, they were stunned. His mother wept. Shane denied everything. Aunt Carol fainted on the spot. But it was too late. Fraud, conspiracy, attempted murder, medical coercion, dozens of charges stacked like bricks. The story exploded across national media. Family plot son's death for insurance payout. He lived to expose them. But Ethan, now Eli, was gone by then. Disappeared from the public eye. He didn't want the fame. He wanted peace. He started over in a small rural town, quietly training as a paramedic. Saving lives. Living small. No one knew who he used to be. No one could imagine the horrors he endured. But deep down, Ethan had one question that never left him. What if Dr. Morgan hadn't noticed him blink? What if no one had listened? And then, just when he thought the past was behind him, he got a letter. No return address. No name. Just one line. Handwritten in ink. "We know you're alive." Ethan, now Eli Walker, stood frozen in the small kitchen of his one-bedroom rental, the letter trembling in his hands. The walls around him felt like they were closing in, like the silence had weight now. He turned the envelope over again. No return address. No stamp. No postmark. Someone had delivered it by hand. He read the note once more. "We know you're alive." It was impossible. The operation had been airtight. The FBI had executed everything down to the second. His body had died in a hospital monitored by federal agents. His family had been convicted and sentenced. The world believed Ethan Winters was 6 feet under. He'd cut ties with Dr. Morgan the day he entered witness protection. Not out of anger, but for her safety and his. She had risked everything for him. No one, not even she, knew where he'd ended up. So how? He burned the letter that night, watching the flames devour the words. But the damage was done. Something had been awakened. The next day at the paramedic station, Eli tried to act normal. He ran drills, cleaned the ambulance, responded to a house call about a child who'd swallowed a battery. His hands were steady, his voice calm, but inside he was unraveling. That night, he checked his perimeter cameras, something he hadn't done in months. At 2:17 a.m., he spotted it. A figure, standing across the street, unmoving, not approaching, just watching. By the time he reached the door, the figure was gone. The next morning, he called his contact at the FBI. He didn't give his real name, just a protocol phrase they'd given him in case of emergency. "This ghost remembers." Within an hour, he got a call back from a voice he recognized. Agent Daniels, the lead on his case. "Ethan, are you safe?" "No," he said quietly. "Someone knows." Daniels didn't waste time. "We'll send someone." Ethan hesitated. "No, that'll spook them. Let me dig. Just a little. If they came this far, they want something." Daniels exhaled. "Be careful. You're not indestructible." But Ethan knew that already. He bore the scars, both physical and emotional. A week passed. Then another letter arrived. This time it was longer, typed, precise. You think justice was served, but you never saw the whole board. You were just the pawn. The queen is still in play. Meet me. One night only. 9 p.m. The place your brother made his first kill. He knew the place. He was 16. Shane had been 17. It was an accident, supposedly. A stray bullet from a hunting rifle that had killed a neighbor's dog. But Ethan remembered the smirk on Shane's face. The way he bragged afterward. How their mother had covered it up. The abandoned trailer in the woods. Ethan didn't tell Daniels. Didn't call the FBI. He went alone. The woods were darker than he remembered. Crows scattered from the trees as he approached the rotting metal structure. The wind howled through broken window panes like a warning. Inside, it smelled like mildew, rust, and ghosts. He crept forward, flashlight in hand. Hello. Nothing. Then, a creak. A flicker of movement. And there she was. Aunt Carol. Not in prison. Not dead. Not forgotten. Older. Thinner. But very much alive. You, he whispered. They made me take the fall, she said. Your mother, Shane. They offered me a deal if I kept my mouth shut. But I never signed the plea deal. I was released last month. And I'm telling you now, Ethan. Your mother never stopped. She's out too. What are you talking about? That's not possible. She was sentenced to 20 years. Reduced? Carol hissed. Health reasons. A new lawyer. And Shane? He's been out for 6 months. Early release for good behavior. You think you buried the past? It dug itself out. Ethan felt ice in his lungs. Carol stepped closer. They know you're alive. They've been looking. And they're coming. Why are you warning me? She reached into her coat and tossed something at his feet. A flash drive. Because they don't just want to finish you. They're after Morgan too. She's not as invisible as you think. Ethan's breath caught. He thought he could outrun them. Bury them with justice. But monsters like his mother didn't die in the light. They just waited. Ethan, no Eli. Drove through the night with the flash drive clutched in his hand like a live grenade. The weight of Aunt Carol's words hadn't left him since the trailer. They're coming. And they want Dr. Morgan too. That was the first time he allowed himself to say her name aloud in years. Nia. He hadn't dared reach out. Not once. It was part of the deal. Total separation. She'd saved his life, and he repaid her by vanishing, for her own good. But now, she was in danger, and his past wasn't dead. It was breathing, watching, hunting. He pulled off the highway, parked at a gas station near a truck stop, and plugged the flash drive into his laptop. It whirred to life, humming as old files bloomed across the screen. Dozens of them, audio recordings, financial statements, court documents, and a series of disturbing images. One folder stood out. Queenmaker. He clicked it. Inside, video footage of his mother. Not old. Not prison-issued jumpsuit. She was free. Wearing designer sunglasses. Stepping out of a sleek black car with a smug smile. Next to her stood Shane, hands in his pockets, clean-shaven, laughing with a man in a cheap suit. The metadata timestamp read 4 weeks ago. The next file chilled Ethan to the core. A voice recording. His mother's voice. Sharp, controlled, manipulative, exactly as he remembered. We lost Ethan once. But a ghost can't collect justice. That doctor? Nia Morgan? She's the thread. We find her, we pull. Everything unravels. And this time we finish what we started. Ethan snapped the laptop shut. They weren't just looking for him. They were going after the only person who had ever truly saved him. By morning, he was already in Chicago. That's where she had been last. At least, according to a nurse's forum he quietly searched the night before. She had left the hospital system after the operation. Changed her name. Gone quiet. But she didn't disappear entirely. He found her in a community clinic on the south side of the city. She was wearing blue scrubs, her hair shorter now, streaked with silver, her posture a little more tired. But those same alert eyes caught him from across the waiting room the moment he walked in. She stood. Her face didn't show shock. Only fear. Ethan? He gave a small, pained smile. It's Eli now. But yeah. She grabbed his arm and pulled him into a side hallway. Are you insane? They're out, Nia. My mother. Shane. Carol warned me. They're after you. I know, she said, voice low. I've had someone following me for 3 days. His heart sank. You didn't tell the FBI? I tried. My old contact's been transferred. They said they'd review the threat. She looked him in the eyes. Ethan, why are you here? You were free. He didn't answer right away. Then he whispered, because you gave me that freedom. I won't let them take it from you. That night, they holed up in a cheap motel on the outskirts of the city. FBI protocols be damned. Ethan downloaded the flash drive to a second device and uploaded a copy to a secure cloud server. Then he dug deeper into Queenmaker. There were names, bank accounts tied to shell corporations, offshore holdings, and court testimonies that had been altered. His mother had been planning this for years. She'd faked her illness, paid off prison doctors, used the insurance money to finance a quiet empire in the shadows. Shane, it seemed, had become her loyal enforcer. He was connected to several accidental deaths. Former acquaintances of Ethan's, old neighbors, even one of the parole officers who had checked in on their case. They were eliminating everyone who could connect the dots. Then came the final file, a recent surveillance video. Dr. Nia Morgan, walking out of her clinic 2 nights earlier. A man following her. The same man Ethan saw outside his home. He wasn't just watching. He was tracking. Nia leaned over Ethan's shoulder, her voice tight. That's not just muscle. That's Logan Martell, former private security, black bag operations. He disappeared after a case in Colombia went sideways. No one ever charged him with anything. And now he's following you? No, she said. Now he's hunting me. Ethan stared at the screen, rage growing beneath his skin. Then we hit back. Nia looked at him, surprised. We? He nodded. If the queen is still in play, then it's time to flip the board. But just before they could act, a knock echoed through the motel door. 3 soft taps, then silence. Ethan motioned for Nia to hide in the bathroom. He grabbed the pistol he'd bought on the way, a small Glock tucked beneath the mattress. Carefully, he approached the door. Another knock, louder this time. He flung it open, gun raised, and stared into the face of a boy, no older than 16, pale, thin, eyes wide with fear. He held out a phone. She wants to talk to you, he whispered. Ethan took the phone. The screen lit up. Call in progress. Unknown. He raised it to his ear slowly. Then the voice came through. Cool. Commanding. Hello, sweetheart. Miss me? It was his mother. Ethan's hand clenched around the phone, his knuckles whitening. On the other end, his mother's voice slithered into his ear like venom. I'm impressed. I expected to be talking to your eulogy, not your pulse. He didn't answer right away. Nia peeked out from the bathroom, eyes locked on him. The teenager who delivered the phone stood trembling at the threshold. Skinny, dirty, probably pulled off the street with promises of cash or threats. Where are you? Ethan finally said. A low laugh. Oh, sweetheart. Still so direct. I've missed that. Don't worry. I'm not at your motel. I don't need to be. You're not the only one with watchers. Ethan's heart thudded. He looked again at the boy. Was he bugged? Chipped? Used? You sent a kid? Children are so much easier to mold. Like Shane used to be. Like you almost were before you became unprofitable. His jaw clenched. But we're past the emotional part, aren't we? She continued. I'm calling to offer you a deal. A deal? Ethan hissed. You tried to kill me. You tried to have her killed. Correction. I almost succeeded. And I'm not finished. But here's the game. You give me everything Carol gave you. The flash drive, the cloud account, the audio, the videos, and I'll give you something you haven't had in years. A pause. A whisper. Freedom. Ethan laughed, bitter and sharp. You have no idea what freedom means. Don't be dramatic, Ethan. You think your new name buys you salvation? You're a ghost with a first aid kit and a dead man's haircut. That's not a life. But I can give you one. Real money. Clean. A passport, a house, a name with history, not holes. And if I say no? The line went quiet for a moment. Then Dr. Morgan dies first. You'll hear her scream before you hear the bullet. Ethan's hand gripped the pistol on the nightstand, rage boiling under his skin. And then, she continued, you die next. I don't need to know where you are. I just need to know who you still care about. Click. The call ended. The boy at the door dropped the phone and bolted down the hall. Ethan didn't chase him. Instead, he turned, every nerve in his body on fire. She threatened you, he said. Nia stepped closer, composed despite the rising storm. She's bluffing. No, she's making her move. She wants the drive. She's not hiding anymore, Nia. That means she's almost done building something. Then we dismantle it. Ethan hesitated. She said something about Shane. About molding kids. And that kid she sent. He looked terrified, like someone who's already been used. They both paused, a sickening thought blooming between them. She's recruiting, Nia said grimly. Rebuilding. The next morning, Ethan sent the flash drive's contents to Agent Daniels in encrypted pieces, spread across 3 burner email addresses. He knew it wouldn't stop his mother, but it would force the FBI's hand. Nia hacked into a secure medical database and found what they were looking for. A rehab center in Kentucky that had been purchased through a shell corporation, quietly, recently, and linked to the same name that appeared in the Queenmaker files. Shoreline Haven. It claimed to help troubled youth with behavioral reshaping. Ethan recognized the words for what they were: brainwashing with a lab coat. His mother wasn't hiding. She was recruiting a new Shane. They hit the road that night, traveling by back highways, avoiding toll roads, switching burner phones every state. Each hour brought them closer to the past, and the war she was building for the future. Ethan kept thinking about something she said on the phone. You're not the only one with watchers. So he began watching her. They hacked security feeds around Shoreline Haven. On the second day they spotted her, standing in the courtyard, dressed in white, talking to a group of young boys like a benevolent matron from hell. One of them clung to her side like a loyal pet. Shane. Alive. Leaner. Harder. No longer hiding either. Ethan felt the weight of it all crash down again. It wasn't over. It had never been over. She's turned him into something worse, he muttered. Nia looked at him. Then we take her out. With evidence. With the truth. And if that fails? She met his gaze without blinking. Then we bury her. For real this time. That night, Ethan sat in the motel alone while Nia went out to gather equipment. He stared at the photo on the laptop. His mother standing behind a child no older than 13, her hands on his shoulders like a queen knighting a soldier. Then his phone buzzed. A new message. Unknown. You should have taken the deal. A photo attached. It was Nia. Bound. Gagged. Blood on her temple. He reached for his gun. Beneath the photo were 5 words that shattered everything. We have her. Come alone. Ethan sat paralyzed, phone trembling in his hand as he stared at the photo. Nia Morgan, bloodied and bound, fear carved into her face. His lungs stopped working. The motel room closed in like a coffin. They had her. His anchor. His rescuer. His only ally. Below the photo was a second message. Shoreline Haven. Back gate. No weapons. 1 hour. Alone. Ethan didn't hesitate. He packed light. A fake ID. A burner phone. A wire sewn into the lining of his jacket. He tucked a concealed GPS tracker into the sole of his boot. He left everything else behind, even the gun. This wasn't about revenge now. It was about saving her. As he drove through the dark backroads toward the Kentucky facility, he tried to piece together what had gone wrong. How had they found her? Had the flash drive tipped them off? Or had someone been watching since before she ever helped him escape? By the time the compound loomed out of the trees, his mind was on fire. He parked the car a mile out and walked the rest of the way, slipping through the woods until the chain-link fence came into view. The back gate was already open. She was waiting for him. Not Nia. His mother. Standing in the shadow of a cypress tree, lit only by moonlight, wearing a white coat like she ran the place. Regal. Cold. Like the queen on a blood-stained chessboard. Ethan, she said, arms out as if to welcome him home. You don't get to say my name. She tilted her head. You're earlier than expected. But then again, you were always fast when it came to emotion. That's why you were a liability. Where's Nia? You mean the doctor who thought she could rewrite fate? She smiled faintly. She's inside. Alive. For now. Ethan's fists clenched. What do you want? Her smile faded. I want you to understand. He almost laughed. Understand what? That you tried to have me murdered for insurance money? No, she snapped. That I saved this family. I carried us. And you were the one who turned your back. Don't pretend you're innocent. Don't forget who you used to be. He took a step forward, eyes burning. What are you talking about? Shane was never the only one we had to worry about, she said softly. You were born with the same fire, the same violence. I saw it when you were a boy. What you did to that neighbor's dog wasn't an accident. I watched you lie about it. I saw the way you smiled when people pitied you. You've always had the monster in you. But I was willing to forgive that. I was willing to guide you, until you chose her. A beat passed. The air seemed to thicken. What did you just say? You think Shane killed that dog? She whispered. You did. Memories surged. Distorted, unclear, like static-filled reels from childhood. He remembered the blood, the panic, the cover-up. He had believed it was Shane, because that's what his mother told him. She stepped closer. I didn't try to kill you because I hated you, Ethan. I tried to kill you because I saw the waste in what you'd become. Weak, soft, in love with a woman who ruined our plans. You could have had it all. Then, a crack echoed in the distance. Gunshot. His mother staggered forward, blood blooming from her shoulder. Get down! A voice yelled. From the tree line emerged Aunt Carol, holding a rifle with FBI agents flanking her. The woods behind her lit up with flashlights and laser sights. The whole compound had been surrounded. Daniels himself stepped forward. Stand down, he barked. Hands on your head. But Ethan wasn't watching them. He was watching her. His mother looked at him, dazed, almost confused. You led them here? Ethan nodded, voice low. You watched me all my life. But I watched you too. He stepped in, grabbed the phone from her coat pocket, and held it up. This phone's been transmitting since you called me. The FBI heard everything, including the part where you confessed. She opened her mouth to speak, but said nothing. Shane burst through the rear compound door behind them, gun raised, but froze the second he saw the field lit up with agents. Within seconds he was tackled and pinned. Ethan ran past them and into the facility. He found Nia in a locked office, bruised but alive. When she saw him, her eyes filled with disbelief. I told you to stay away, she whispered, and I didn't listen. Again. 2 weeks later, the compound was shut down. Dozens of children were pulled from the facility. An entire trafficking ring disguised as reform therapy was exposed. His mother and Shane were arrested on federal charges that would keep them behind bars for the rest of their lives. But Ethan didn't attend the trial. He and Nia moved again, this time under new names, new identities. A small coastal town in Maine. She went back to medicine. He joined the local search and rescue team. A quiet life. For a while, everything was calm. Until one night, sitting on the porch with Nia, watching the stars, she turned to him. I've been thinking, she said softly, about what your mother said, about your childhood. Ethan stayed quiet. You ever wonder if it was true? He stared at the waves. Then, after a long silence, he answered, I don't know anymore. Maybe the monster was always there. He looked at her. But I think choosing not to be like her. Maybe that's what makes me human. She nodded slowly. Let's hope you never forget that. He smiled, kissed her forehead, then stood, and walked back into the darkness. The sea wind had become a friend. Ethan stood on the rocks just outside the town of Bridgemore, Maine, his eyes fixed on the quiet waves. 6 months had passed since the takedown of Shoreline Haven. 6 months of peace. Fragile, precious, borrowed. He'd built a new life with Nia. Quiet, steady, normal. But peace was like glass, it never stayed whole for long. That morning, a letter arrived in their mailbox. Plain white envelope. No return address. It looked identical to the one that had nearly unraveled everything months before. But this one carried a different weight. Nia opened it first. She read the note, her hand trembling slightly. Then, without a word, she handed it to Ethan. He unfolded the single piece of paper. Typed in bold. The monster never left. He just learned to wear your face. Beneath the line was a single photograph. A boy, 12 years old, buzz-cut, cold eyes, holding a knife, standing next to Ethan. A memory hit him like a fist to the chest. He knew that boy. His name was Logan Marsh, one of the students at Shoreline Haven. He had been one of the youngest, the most withdrawn, the most observant. Ethan remembered watching the kid trail behind Shane like a shadow during one of the surveillance feeds. He never spoke, never reacted, just watched. After the raid, Logan had been placed with protective services. Daniels said he was clean, just a victim, but Ethan's instincts now screamed something else. Did you recognize him? Nia asked, sitting at the kitchen table, the letter still in her hands. Ethan nodded. He was with Shane, quiet, calculating. Nia said nothing for a long time. Then, so what does this mean? Ethan folded the paper carefully. It means my mother left behind more than memories. She planted something. That night he couldn't sleep. The letter haunted him more than he wanted to admit. The monster never left. He just learned to wear your face. What if Logan wasn't sending a threat? What if he was sending a message? The next day, Ethan contacted Daniels using the secure satellite method they'd established months ago. The call was short. "I need everything you have on Logan Marsh," Ethan said. There was a pause. Then Daniels said, "You won't like it." "I already don't." Within hours, the file came through. Most of it redacted. Logan hadn't stayed in protective custody. He'd been released into a private rehabilitation foster group 3 months ago. Funded, ironically, by a nonprofit that used to receive grants from his mother's old shell foundation. And worse, he disappeared 2 weeks ago. Vanished. No warning. No trail. And the last person he reportedly spoke to? Carol. Ethan drove through the night. He found Carol living in a halfway house outside Albany, under parole restrictions and FBI watch. But she wasn't surprised when he showed up. "I was wondering when you'd come," she said from her porch, sipping tea like nothing had happened. "You gave me the flash drive," Ethan said, stepping forward. "But you didn't give me everything." Carol's eyes flicked toward the trees. "Logan reached out to me 2 weeks ago, said he had questions." "What kind of questions?" "The kind you used to ask when you were a boy," she said softly. "About right and wrong. About power. About pain." Ethan's voice sharpened. "You fed him, didn't you?" "I gave him answers, Ethan. Same as I gave you. What he does with them isn't my fault." He wanted to scream. Instead, he clenched his jaw. "Where is he now?" Carol leaned back. "That boy is smart. Smarter than Shane ever was. He doesn't want to be Shane." Ethan narrowed his eyes. "What does he want?" She smiled faintly. "He wants to be you." 2 nights later, another envelope arrived. This time, it came to the paramedic station. Inside, a photo of Ethan's ambulance, parked outside his house. And beneath it, another message. "I've already saved my first life. Wanna guess how many I'll take?" L.M. Ethan turned cold. Nia found him in the hallway that night, staring at the wall, fists clenched. "He's not like your mother," she said softly. "No," Ethan replied, eyes dark. "He's worse." She placed a hand on his arm. "We'll stop him." But Ethan didn't answer. Because deep down, a voice, one that sounded dangerously like his mother, was whispering to him again. "You always had the monster in you. Maybe this is the boy who finally lets it out." Ethan stood in the woods behind his home, phone clutched in his hand, staring at the photo of his own ambulance parked outside. Logan had been here. He glanced back toward the house. Nia was inside, working late on a patient report, unaware of the storm brewing just beyond their door. This wasn't like before. His mother had used manipulation. Shane used intimidation. But Logan? He was playing a psychological war. One Ethan had barely survived the first time. And now he was playing it better. The next morning, Ethan met with Daniels at a safe house in Portland. 3 confirmed sightings of Logan Marsh in the last 10 days, Daniels said, laying out the files. 1 in Vermont, 1 outside Baltimore. And this one. He tapped a grainy security photo. "That's from your town, Ethan. 2 blocks from your station. 2 days ago." Ethan stared at the image. Logan, now a little older, a little leaner, still watching. "Why haven't you caught him?" Daniels exhaled. "Because he's not acting alone anymore." "What?" Daniels turned a laptop toward him. "Encrypted forums. Deep web chatter. Logan's been recruiting. Teens mostly. Some former patients from Shoreline. Kids with no homes, no ties. We're tracking what we can. But it's spreading too fast. Whatever your mother started, he's trying to finish it." Ethan leaned forward, his voice flat. "Then we end him." Daniels hesitated. "We're not sure if this is just about you anymore." "What does that mean?" Daniels clicked on a video. "Watch." The footage showed a recent fire at a private group home in Delaware. A blaze that claimed the lives of 2 caretakers. It had been ruled accidental. Until now. The video paused on a frame. Logan, walking calmly away from the fire. No urgency. No fear. Just a calm, measured stride. "Message boards are calling him the Phoenix Boy," Daniels said grimly. "He's telling them the world is broken. That the only way to fix it is to burn it all down and rebuild." "And I'm the blueprint," Ethan muttered. Daniels nodded. He doesn't just want to replace you. He wants to evolve you. Back home, Ethan sat in silence while Nia poured coffee. He's baiting you, she said, trying to pull you out of balance. It's working, Ethan admitted. She walked over and placed a hand on his. You said something once about choosing not to be the monster. You still believe that? He stared at her. I don't know. Maybe I was just delaying it. Don't say that. I see him, Nia. I understand him. That's the problem. A long silence stretched between them. Then she said, then maybe it takes a monster to stop one. That night, Ethan left without telling her. He went back to the place where Shoreline Haven had once stood, now an ash-scarred field surrounded by temporary fencing. He walked the perimeter, memories flooding back. And there, waiting for him near the collapsed ruins of the courtyard, was Logan. The boy was taller now, his face sharper, but the same dead calm in his eyes. You came, Logan said, hands in his coat pockets. Ethan stepped forward. You've been busy. I've been learning, Logan replied. I read every file your mother had. About you. About her. About what she believed. She saw something in you. So did I. You don't know me. Logan tilted his head. I know the real you. The one who didn't flinch when he saw blood. The one who planned his own fake death. The one who buried his family without blinking. You think you're not like her? You're worse. You outsmarted her. Ethan stepped closer. And what do you want, Logan? To become me? No, he said. To become better. Ethan didn't reply. I saved a girl last week, Logan continued, eyes never leaving him. She was being beaten by her foster father. I burned his house to the ground. That's one life saved. How many did you save today, Ethan? Ethan's hands curled into fists. See, Logan whispered. The fire's already in you. And then, he stepped forward and placed something into Ethan's hand. A phone. A live feed appeared. Nia, tied to a chair, her mouth taped, crying. No police, Logan said. No FBI. No backup. He smiled faintly. Just you and me. You choose who walks out. And then he vanished into the woods. Ethan stood there for a long time, the cold wind blowing across the field, the phone screen still glowing in his palm. This time, the threat wasn't his mother, or Shane, or the past. It was the future, his future, staring back at him with his same rage. And now, the final game had begun. Ethan ran, through the trees, across frozen dirt and rustling leaves. The phone in his hand shook with every step, Nia's terrified face flickering on screen. A timer had started counting down. 58 minutes and 12 seconds. 1 hour. 1 hour until what? Detonation? Execution? He didn't know what Logan had planned, but the boy's eyes had said enough. This wasn't just a trap. This was a test. He didn't call Daniels. He didn't alert the FBI. No time. No trust. This war had never belonged to the Bureau. This war was personal. Ethan followed the GPS coordinates from the feed. They led him to a crumbling warehouse at the edge of an abandoned shipping yard outside Portland. He remembered this place. He and Shane had once hidden stolen fireworks here when they were kids. Now it stood like a mausoleum, waiting to bury the last piece of his past. He approached cautiously. No guards. No sentries. Just a rusted-out door slightly ajar. Like an invitation. Inside it was cold. Damp. Echoes of dripping water somewhere in the dark. And then he saw her. Nia. Tied to a chair in the center of the room. Duct tape across her mouth. Eyes wild. He rushed to her, dropping to his knees. I've got you, he whispered, slicing the restraints with a blade from his boot. I knew you'd come, she choked out. It's not too late. Before Ethan could respond, a click echoed through the shadows. A spotlight snapped on overhead. Logan stood on a raised catwalk, arms spread like a ringmaster. You passed the first test, he said. Loyalty. Ethan slowly stood, shielding Nia behind him. Let her go. Of course, Logan said casually. She was never the prize. Then the lights flared, revealing the room behind the catwalk. 5 kids. Teenagers. Bound. Gagged. Terrified. I saved them, Logan said. From abusive homes. Broken systems. Just like I was never saved. But now, he raised a small remote control. You decide. 1 button. All of this goes up in fire. 1 clean purge. No pain. Or, you can try to stop me. And maybe they die. Maybe Nia dies. Maybe you do. Ethan's blood ran cold. You want me to become you? No, Logan said, smiling. I want you to realize you already are me. Ethan's hand moved to his side, gripping a concealed flashbang he'd brought just in case. You think you're creating justice, Ethan said, buying time, eyes scanning for an angle. But you're just building a cult of pain. You're not saving lives, Logan. You're just repackaging her. Logan flinched. Don't talk about her. She made you, just like she made Shane. And me. But the difference is I broke free. You became a ghost. Logan snapped. You buried your name. You let them think you were dead. I chose to live, to help, without burning the world down. Ethan saw it, the hesitation, and that's when he threw the flashbang. Boom, light, sound, screaming metal. Ethan lunged through the smoke, tackled Logan to the ground. The remote skidded across the floor. They wrestled violently. Logan was fast, desperate, but Ethan had fury and training. A knee to the ribs, an elbow to the jaw. Why didn't you save me? Logan howled through bloodied lips. Because I didn't know how, Ethan growled, pinning him. I barely saved myself. Sirens in the distance. Nia had triggered a silent beacon as soon as he untied her. FBI floodlights lit up the warehouse like daylight. Logan stopped struggling. They'll cage me. Ethan stood over him. They'll help you, or they'll try. The rest is up to you. Logan stared at him, tears mixing with dust and ash. You really think you're not like me? Ethan's voice was calm, cold, clear. I was like you, but I made a choice. 2 weeks later, the kids were safe. Logan was in federal custody, undergoing psychiatric evaluation and therapy. The FBI had launched a full investigation into rogue recruitment networks tied to Shoreline Haven. It made national news. Ethan declined all interviews. So did Nia. They returned to Bridgemore, Maine. Quiet, snow-covered, and still. That evening, Ethan stood at the edge of the ocean once more. The same place where it had all started again. Nia joined him, gloved hand slipping into his. Do you think he'll get better? She asked. I don't know, Ethan admitted. But he won't become her. That's a start. She smiled softly. And you? He glanced at her. I'm still here. 1 year later, a new letter arrived. But this one wasn't a threat. It was a postcard. A crude drawing of a phoenix in crayon. On the back, 5 words. The fire didn't win. L.M. Ethan smiled. Just slightly. The camera feed clicked off. The screen went black. Behind the wall of monitors, in a secured government facility, Agent Daniels stepped away from the desk. He walked to a darkened hallway, where a woman waited in shadows. Older, hunched, but unmistakable. Ethan's mother. Daniels handed her the footage. All according to plan, he said. She smiled faintly. Good. Let the boy think he's free. Fade to black. The end. Or is it?